Right now, inside your body, millions of cells are dying. By the time you finish this sentence, millions more will have replaced them. The skin you're sitting in didn't exist a month ago. Your stomach lining is only days old. Even your skeleton, the thing you think of as permanently you, is rebuilt roughly every 10 years. Almost nothing you're made of now was part of you a decade ago. There's a thought experiment that's almost 2,000 years old. A ship has every plank replaced, one by one, until not a single original piece remains. Is it still the same ship? For centuries, it was just a riddle for philosophers. But you are the ship. The planks are being swapped out constantly, quietly, your whole life, and almost nothing physical about you survives the journey. And yet you feel like the same person you've always been. So here's the question nobody can quite answer. If the material keeps changing, what exactly is the you that stays? Most people assume their body is basically a fixed object that slowly wears down, like a car. But that's not what's happening at all. Your body isn't a thing, it's a process. And the real answer to what holds you together is far stranger than a soul, and far stranger than your cells. Start with the scale of it. Your body is made of around 37 trillion cells, and most of them are on a schedule. The lining of your gut is so battered by acid and food that it's replaced every few days. Your skin sheds and rebuilds in about 2 to 4 weeks. Red blood cells last around 4 months. Your liver can rebuild itself in a matter of months. Even bone, the hardest thing you've got, is dissolved and reformed cell by cell until the skeleton you have now is almost entirely new within a decade. Here's a way to feel the scale. Every single day, your body builds and quietly discards somewhere around 330 billion cells. That's roughly 4 million every second. In the time you've been watching this, you've replaced more cells than there are people on Earth. In 2005, a researcher named Jonas Frisén tried to actually measure this. He used carbon left in the atmosphere by Cold War nuclear tests, which got absorbed into cells as they formed, like a date stamp. He found that the average age of the cells in an adult body is far younger than the person themselves. You are, physically, much newer than your birthday says you are. So if you replaced every plank in a ship, you'd hesitate to call it the same ship. Your body does exactly that, and you never hesitate at all. But here's the catch. It's not all of you, and the exceptions are where this gets interesting. A few parts of you barely change at all. Most of the neurons in your cerebral cortex are with you for life. The ones firing in your brain right now are, for the most part, the same ones that were there when you were a small child. They don't get swapped out the way skin does. The lens of your eye is the same. Some of the deep structures of your heart. A handful of these cells are nearly as old as you are. For a long time, this looked like the answer. Maybe that's the real you, the small fraction that never gets replaced. The permanent core hiding inside the river of everything else. Except even that isn't true, because while those neurons survive, what's inside them does not. The proteins, the molecules, the actual physical material that makes up each neuron is constantly being broken down and rebuilt. The cell stays. The stuff it's made of streams through it and out of it. It's less like a stone and more like a whirlpool. The shape holds, but the water is never the same water twice. So you can't even point to the neurons and say, "There, that's the permanent me. The container lasts. The contents flow. The you you're looking for isn't in the parts." And that's only half the story. Because if you're not your material, then what are you? Here's the strange answer scientists keep circling back to. You are not the atoms. You are the pattern the atoms are arranged in. The information. The structure. This idea is older than you'd think. 25 centuries ago, the Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "You can never step in the same river twice because the water has already moved on, even though the river keeps its name and its shape." He thought he was describing a river. He was also, without knowing it, describing you. Think about a wave moving across the ocean. The wave travels for miles, but the water doesn't. Each drop just bobs up and down and stays roughly where it is. What moves, what you actually see, is the shape, passing through one set of water molecules and into the next. The wave is real. You can watch it, ride it, get knocked over by it, but it isn't made of any specific water. Or picture a candle flame. It looks like one steady little object. But the flame is never the same gas from one instant to the next. Fuel rises, burns, and is gone, and fresh fuel takes its place faster than your eye can follow. The flame is just a shape that fire is passing through. It's a pattern that water is briefly holding. You are the wave. Your cells are the water. The molecules pour in from your food and your air, take the shape of you for a while, and pour back out. And a pattern can do something atoms can't. It can be copied. It can survive losing the very stuff it's written on, as long as it gets rewritten somewhere else before the original is gone. That is exactly what your body is doing, every second, without ever asking your permission. What persists isn't the material. It's the arrangement, the structure that copies itself onto each new set of parts before the old ones leave. This is why your body can replace almost everything and still be you. The whole point of you was never the specific atoms. It was the pattern they keep getting folded into. But a pattern alone isn't quite enough to explain the feeling, because what makes it feel like one continuous person is something layered on top. Memory. Your sense of being the same self across time is largely a story your brain tells, stitched together from memory and a constant feeling of ownership over your own experience. We know this because of what happens when it breaks. There was a man known in science as H.M., who in 1953 had part of his brain's memory center removed and could no longer form new long-term memories. And yet everyone agreed he was still, unmistakably, himself. The thread frayed, but the person remained. So the continuity isn't in the cells, which leave. It's not only in the pattern, which is physical. It's also in the narrative, the brain quietly insisting, moment to moment, that the wave yesterday and the wave today are the same wave. You are a process that remembers being itself. And once you see it this way, something flips. We tend to fear change because it feels like losing ourselves. But you have already survived being almost completely replaced, many times over. The child in your old photos is built from material that is entirely gone now. Think about that the next time you catch your reflection. The face looking back isn't the face you were born with, not a single cell of it. It's the latest draft, the newest print of a pattern that has been quietly rerunning itself since before you can even remember. Every atom that learned to walk, that cried on the first day of school, has long since washed out of you. That person should be, by every physical measure, dead. And yet here you are, carrying them forward, not in their cells, but in the pattern that outlived them. You are not a thing that persists. You are something stranger and, maybe, more alive than that. You're a shape that the universe keeps redrawing, using whatever atoms happen to be passing through. So back to the ship with every plank replaced. We argued for 2,000 years about whether it's still the same ship, and we were asking the wrong question the whole time. The ship was never the planks. It was the design that kept the planks in the shape of a ship. You are not the planks. You never were. You're the thing that stays when everything you're made of has already quietly walked out the door. And the truly strange part? You'll do it all again. Most of what you are right now will be gone within the decade. Replaced, rebuilt, renewed. The you reading this will be made of almost entirely different material by the time it matters. You are not a noun. You are a verb the universe is busy performing.